Okay, ready to dive into some cave surveying. This deep dive is all about Walls software.
Cool.
You sent over these excerpts from the Walls manual.
Yeah.
And wow, this software is used by like some major cave exploration projects.
It really is. It's amazing what they can do with this software. Creating those intricate maps, those 3D models.
Incredible.
You have those underground networks. And it's all thanks to Walls.
All thanks to Walls. So the manual keeps mentioning this SRV data format. What's that all about?
Well, Walls uses SRV, which is a simple text file format,
Okay.
to store all that survey data.
Gotcha.
And it's really easy to work with. Like, you don't even need any fancy software. Even a basic text editor can open it.
Oh, okay.
And what's really neat is that this format, it kind of mirrors how surveyors actually record data in their field books.
Oh, so it's like a digital field book then.
Exactly.
So it reduces those like transcription errors.
Exactly. Makes the data way more transparent.
Yeah.
And it really helps catch errors right from the start.
Yeah.
And speaking of catching errors,
Yeah.
Walls is pretty strict about the data formats, which is a good thing, believe me.
I bet. So it's like a built-in quality control system.
Exactly. For
Yeah.
example, let's say someone accidentally enters a negative distance
Right.
or azimuth.
Which you can't have.
Impossible. In the real world.
Yeah.
Walls will flag that immediately. It's like having a second pair of eyes constantly checking your work for those little slip-ups.
That's reassuring, especially in a field where accuracy is so critical. But what about those trickier errors? The ones that might come from the survey itself. Can Walls detect those too?
Absolutely. Walls excels at identifying errors using what we call loop systems
Okay.
and traverse chains. So think of it like this. Surveyors, they create a series of interconnected loops, like chains of measurements.
Okay, so they're not just measuring in a straight line. They're
Yeah.
making these like interconnected paths.
Precisely.
Okay.
And by analyzing how well these loops close, Walls can identify inconsistencies that might point to an error somewhere along the line.
So it's not just looking at individual measurements, it's looking at the whole network.
The entire network of data.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It is. And it uses statistical analysis
Okay.
to pinpoint potential issues. You'll come across something called the F ratio in the manual, which is essentially a statistical red flag.
Oh, okay.
So it helps identify which parts of the survey might be a little bit off.
So like a warning signal, hey, double check this section, something might be wonky.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. The manual talks about this case study of Paxton Cave. Even though the overall error seemed fine,
Yeah.
at first glance, these F ratios revealed some hidden outliers, like a subtle but really crucial inconsistency. Walls caught it, allowing the surveyors to investigate further and ensure the accuracy of their data.
That's a fantastic example of how Walls goes beyond just basic error checking. It's like digging deep into the data to uncover those hidden issues.
Exactly.
So it's not just about avoiding those obvious mistakes, it's about ensuring the highest level of accuracy.
Absolutely. Walls is really a game changer for cave surveying.
It sounds like it. But it's not just about error checking. The manual hints at some really cool advanced features. What else can this software do?
Oh, there's so much more.
Yeah.
One of the things that really stands out is how seamlessly Walls integrates with GPS data,
Okay.
which allows surveyors to literally connect their underground surveys
Yeah.
to the surface world.
Yeah.
So you're bridging the gap between those two very different environments.
So it's like creating this unified map, right?
Yeah.
That spans above and below ground.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing. What other tricks does Walls have up its sleeve?
Well, it also allows users to override the default error variances. Think of it as like fine-tuning the analysis based on the conditions of the survey. It's like acknowledging that, sometimes our equipment
Right.
or the environment might introduce limitations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we need a way to account for that.
That's a good point. It's like saying, hey, I know there might be some inherent variability here. Let's adjust our analysis to reflect that. That's really smart.
It is. And then there's the part I think you'll love.
Okay.
3D model export.
Oh, cool.
Walls can create these stunning 3D models of the cave system
Wow.
in VRML format. So imagine being able to visualize a cave
Yeah.
in 3 dimensions,
Yeah.
explore its passages and chambers virtually.
It's like taking those flat maps and
With-
bringing them to life
Exactly.
and giving you a true sense of the cave's scale and complexity.
It's a game changer for understanding and communicating those intricacies of these underground environments.
That's incredible. This is all really fascinating. Walls is clearly a powerful tool for anyone involved in cave surveying. But before we move on, I'm curious about something. Well, we've talked about all these advanced features, but one thing that stuck with me in the manual was this idea that even with all this tech, cave surveying still relies on good old-fashioned measurements and interpretations.
You're absolutely right. Walls might be doing all that heavy lifting with calculations and visualizations, but it all starts with the surveyor in the cave, meticulously taking those measurements with their compass and tape.
It's like this blend of old school exploration and cutting edge technology. It's really captivating.
It is.
It's not just about pushing the limits of where we can go, but also pushing the limits of how we understand and represent these hidden worlds.
Beautifully put. And to emphasize that point, the manual actually goes into detail about the different taping methods used in cave surveying.
You mean like instrument to target, station to station?
Exactly.
Yeah.
These methods determine how distances are measured, and they can have a huge impact on the accuracy of the survey, especially when you consider things like instrument heights and target heights. It's not as simple as just stretching a tape measure from point A to point B.
Right. So there's a real science to it.
There is.
And Walls takes all of that into account,
It does.
allowing surveyors to specify the taping method and ensuring those calculations are adjusted accordingly.
Precisely. It's like Walls speaks the language of cave surveying. It understands the nuances and translates them into meaningful data.
That's fascinating. And speaking of nuances, the manual also mentions this concept of magnetic declination.
Yes.
I remember reading about that. It's about the Earth's magnetic field, right?
Yes, the Earth's magnetic field is constantly shifting,
Right.
and this can really affect compass readings, which are obviously crucial for cave surveying.
Yeah.
Walls has this built-in geographical calculator that helps surveyors account for that magnetic declination.
So they input the date and location of the survey, and Walls automatically calculates the correction.
Exactly.
It's really helpful.
It is. It's a crucial step in ensuring the accuracy of the data. The manual even points out how this declination can change significantly over time. So it really emphasizes the importance of having that accurate date information for each measurement.
Wow. That's a good reminder that even something as seemingly stable as the ground beneath our feet is in constant flux.
Exactly. And Walls provides the flexibility to handle this by either deriving the declination from the dates embedded in the survey data or setting a constant declination for the entire project. It's all about giving surveyors the tools they need to navigate the complexities of the real world.
It's clear that Walls was designed by cave surveyors, for cave surveyors.
Absolutely.
They've really thought of everything.
They have.
It's impressive.
It is. And that attention to detail extends to how Walls handles different coordinate systems, things like UTM and UPS, which are essential for accurately representing the cave's location on the Earth's surface.
So it's like translating the cave's coordinates into a language that maps and GPS devices can understand.
Exactly. Walls makes that translation seamless, allowing surveyors to switch between different coordinate systems as needed.
It's remarkable how much thought and engineering has gone into this software. But beyond all those technical details, what really strikes me is this sense of wonder and discovery that you get from the manual.
I completely agree. Yes, Walls is this powerful tool, but it's driven by human curiosity.
Right.
And a desire to explore the unknown. And I think the manual in its own way reflects that spirit of adventure.
It's not just a dry technical document. It's a glimpse into the world of cave surveying, filled with challenges and insights, and this passion for uncovering the secrets that are hidden beneath the surface.
Absolutely. And that passion is evident in how Walls approaches the visualization of cave data. It's not just about crunching numbers and generating reports. It's about creating these immersive experiences that bring the cave to life.
That's where the 3D modeling
Yes.
and the SVG integration come in. They transform the data into something tangible, something you can interact with and explore.
Precisely. And to enhance that experience, Walls offers all sorts of options for customizing the appearance of those maps and models. You could adjust colors, line styles, labels, even the symbols used to represent different features. It's not just about accuracy.
Yeah.
It's about creating visually engaging
Yeah.
and informative representations of the cave.
So it's like turning a cave survey into a work of art.
In a way, it is. And that brings us to another really interesting aspect of Walls, its ability to handle what the manual calls wall shots.
I remember reading about those. They used to capture the shape of the passage walls, right? Not just the path.
That's right. Unlike traditional survey measurements, which focus on the path taken through the cave, wall shots, they capture the surrounding environment, allowing surveyors to create these detailed cross-sections of the passage. and reveal its true dimensions.
So it's like adding another layer of detail, going beyond that linear path and capturing the cave's volume.
Exactly. And Walls has this clever way of incorporating those wall shots into the overall model, so ensuring that the passages are represented accurately, even when there are complex curves or irregular shapes.
It's impressive how walls can handle so many different types of data
It is.
and weave them together into this coherent representation of the cave.
It really is. And that ability to synthesize diverse information is really crucial for addressing one of the fundamental challenges in cave surveying: error propagation.
Error propagation, could you explain what that means?
Yeah, so it's the idea that errors in those individual measurements can accumulate as you move further into the cave.
Oh, so like if you have a small error at the beginning, it could snowball into a much larger error down the line.
Precisely. And this is especially problematic in those long traverses where even minor inaccuracies can have this cascading effect.
Right, right.
But Walls is designed to minimize error propagation.
How does it do that?
It uses a sophisticated statistical adjustment algorithm that takes into account the relationships between all those different measurements. It analyzes the entire network of data, looking for those inconsistencies and adjusting the measurements to create the most accurate representation of the cave.
So it's like Walls is constantly checking and rechecking the data, making sure everything fits together as precisely as possible.
Exactly, like solving a giant puzzle,
Yeah.
where each measurement is a piece.
Mm.
And Walls is figuring out how they all fit together to create that complete picture.
And that picture, as we've seen, can be incredibly detailed and complex. Walls can even handle situations where there are missing measurements, like we saw in that Gruta de Bustamante example.
That's a testament to the software's flexibility and its ability to make the most of the available data. But even with all its sophisticated algorithms, Walls still recognizes the importance of human judgment in the surveying process.
So it's not just a black box that spits out answers.
Nope.
There's still that need for expert interpretation.
Absolutely. Walls provides the tools and the insights,
Yeah.
but it's ultimately up to the surveyor to make decisions about the data.
It's that combination of human expertise and technological power that makes cave surveying so fascinating.
It is.
And as we've explored in this deep dive, Walls is a prime example of how software can empower exploration and discovery.
It's a tool that not only helps us map the physical world, but also expands our understanding of the intricate and often hidden beauty that lies beneath the surface.
And that's what makes this deep dive so rewarding. It's not just about learning the technical details of a software program. It's about gaining a deeper appreciation for the dedication, the ingenuity, and the sheer wonder that drive cave exploration.
Well said. And as we delve further into the manual, I think you'll uncover even more fascinating details about how Walls empowers surveyors to push the boundaries of their craft
Yeah.
and reveal the secrets of that subterranean world. For example, did you know that Walls has specific features for handling underwater cave surveys?
Underwater cave surveys. Now that sounds like a whole other level of complexity.
It is.
Tell me more.
Well, as you can imagine, surveying underwater presents unique challenges.
Right.
Visibility is often limited, currents can affect measurements, and then there are those added safety considerations.
Of course. Yeah. So how does Walls adapt to this submerged environment?
It offers specific features designed to address those challenges. For example, it supports the use of different taping methods that are more suitable for underwater environments, like station-to-station taping. Imagine trying to accurately measure distances while floating in the water. It's not easy.
It sounds incredibly tricky.
It is?
So Walls takes that into account.
It does. It also allows surveyors to specify the density of the water, which is important for calculating buoyancy and its effect on measurements.
So it's not just about the geometry of the cave, it's about understanding the physics at play.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
It is. And to further enhance the accuracy of those underwater surveys, Walls allows surveyors to input instrument corrections for their compasses and clinometers, because those instruments can be affected by the magnetic properties of the surrounding rock, and these corrections help compensate for those variations.
It's like fine-tuning the instruments to make sure they're speaking the same language as the cave itself.
Precisely. And to tie this back to our earlier discussion of error propagation, Walls offers a feature called floating traverse chains.
Floating traverse chains, that sounds interesting. What exactly does that entail?
Well, it allows surveyors to experiment with excluding specific traverses from the overall adjustment process.
Okay.
So they can see how removing certain measurements affects the overall accuracy of the survey.
So it's like a what-if scenario.
Yeah.
They can test different possibilities.
Exactly.
And see how it impacts the final model.
It's a powerful tool for identifying those problematic traverses and understanding their impact on the overall accuracy.
That makes sense. It sounds like a great way to double check their work.
Yeah.
And make sure that the final interpretation is as robust as possible.
It is. Exploring this WALS manual has really highlighted something for me.
Oh, what's that?
It's this realization that cave surveying, at its core, is about building connections. Connections between points in space, connections between measurements and their associated errors, connections between the physical cave and its digital representation.
And connections between the explorers themselves.
Yes.
Working together to unravel those mysteries.
Beautifully said. WALS, as a software tool, facilitates these connections, making it easier to manage, analyze, and ultimately understand that complex web of relationships that define a cave system.
It's a powerful reminder that technology, at its best, serves to amplify human ingenuity and collaboration.
Well said. So what does this all mean for you, our listener? You now have this deeper understanding of how cave surveying works, the challenges involved, and the role that software like WALS plays in pushing the boundaries of exploration. What stands out to you in all this?
Well, this deep dive has hopefully sparked your curiosity about the world beneath our feet and those remarkable individuals who dedicate themselves to exploring and mapping these hidden realms. And if you're ever feeling adventurous, who knows, maybe you'll even find yourself venturing into a cave someday, armed with a compass, a tape measure, and a thirst for discovery.
That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you'd have a fantastic time. There's nothing quite like the thrill of exploring a cave and seeing those formations firsthand. It's an experience that stays with you.
I can imagine. But even if you never venture underground, I hope this deep dive has given you a new appreciation for the incredible work that cave surveyors do. They're pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and exploration, and they're doing it with a passion and dedication that's truly inspiring.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up part 1 of our deep dive into WALS software. But don't worry, there's plenty more to come. In part 2, we'll delve deeper into some of the more advanced features of WALS and explore how it's being used to create truly groundbreaking 3D models of cave systems. So stay tuned, because this adventure is just getting started.
I can't wait. We'll be right back after a short break.
Picking up where we left off, one thing that really jumped out at me from the manual is how WALS helps surveyors tackle those unique challenges of underwater cave surveying.
Oh, yeah. It's mind-boggling to think about surveying in those conditions. It's a whole different world down there.
It really is. Visibility is often limited. Currents can just mess with measurements, and then there are those added safety concerns. It takes real expertise to survey in that kind of environment.
Absolutely. So how does WALS actually handle those complexities of underwater surveying?
Well, it offers these features that are specifically designed for those underwater challenges. For example, it supports different taping methods
that are better suited for those conditions, like station-to-station taping, which is way more practical when you're dealing with those water currents.
Right, because trying to accurately measure distances while you're floating in the water, that's got to be so difficult.
Oh, it is. And WALS recognizes that. It also lets surveyors put in the water density, which can impact measurements. It affects buoyancy.
It's fascinating how it takes into account not just the geometry of the cave, but also the physics of the environment.
Exactly. And to improve that accuracy even more, WALS allows for, we call instrument corrections for compasses and clinometers.
Okay.
Because those instruments can be affected by, the magnetic properties of the surrounding rock, and these corrections kind of help compensate for those variations.
It's like you're fine-tuning the instruments to make sure they're speaking the same language as the cave itself.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
And, remember our talk about error propagation?
Yeah.
Well, WALS has this really neat feature. It's called floating traverse chains.
Mm-hmm.
And that's particularly helpful in these underwater surveys.
Floating traverse chains. Remind me what that is again.
So it lets surveyors sort of experiment with excluding specific traverses from the overall adjustment.
Oh, okay.
So that way they can see how removing certain measurements affects the overall accuracy.
So it's a way to test the robustness of their data to see if any particular measurements are kind of throwing things off.
Exactly. It helps them pinpoint potential problem areas and understand how those areas might be affecting the final model. It's a great tool for quality control.
It's incredible how much thought has gone into this software to make it so comprehensive. It really does cover all the bases, doesn't it?
It does. And as we've been talking about, it's not just about having tools for measurement and calculation. It's also about making these compelling visualizations
Right.
that bring the cave to life. Those 3D models and the SVG maps.
They are impressive. And what I find really fascinating is that Walls gives surveyors that flexibility to customize those visualizations. They can adjust colors and line styles, the labels, the symbols. It's not just about making it technically accurate. It's about making something that's visually engaging and informative as well.
It's like they're using the data to tell a story, and they have all the tools to shape that story in the best way to convey that information.
That's a great way to put it. It's not just data, it's a narrative.
Exactly.
And that narrative is it's shaped by the surveyor's understanding of the cave, but also their artistic choices and how they present that understanding.
Exactly. And what's even more impressive is that walls can handle these really complex data sets, incorporating things like those wall shots,
Right, right.
which capture the shape of the passage walls.
Yeah, it's not just about capturing the path that the surveyor takes,
No.
but also that surrounding environment.
Yes.
It gives you that richer picture of the cave's morphology.
It does. And Walls seamlessly integrates those wall shots into the overall model, even when dealing with irregular shapes and complex curves. It's a testament to the software's sophistication.
It really is. Walls is it's clearly a game changer for cave surveying.
It is. And I think it also speaks to the ingenuity and dedication of the people who developed it.
Yeah.
They clearly understood those challenges that cave surveyors face,
Right.
and they created a tool that really addresses those challenges in a thoughtful and comprehensive way.
Absolutely. And what I find really inspiring about all of this is that it highlights the power of human curiosity.
Yes.
Like, we're driven to explore the unknown, to push those boundaries of our knowledge. And technology like Walls is helping us do that in ways that we never thought possible.
Beautifully said. It's a reminder that technology can be such a powerful enabler of human exploration and discovery.
It is. And it's not just about exploring those physical spaces like caves. It's also about exploring new ways of thinking, new ways of understanding the world around us.
That's a great point. And speaking of pushing boundaries, one of the things that really impressed me in the manual was its discussion of how the software handles different coordinate systems.
Ah, yes, I remember that section. It talked about things like UTM and UPS, right?
Exactly. These coordinate systems are so important for accurately representing the cave's location on the Earth's surface. They're like different languages for describing location.
Right.
And Walls acts as a translator, allowing surveyors to just seamlessly switch between them.
So it's ensuring that the data that's collected in the cave can be integrated with other geospatial data like maps and GPS.
Precisely. It's another example of how Walls bridges that gap between the underground world and the surface world.
It's fascinating how it connects those two realms. And it's a reminder that even though cave surveying takes place in these hidden, often inaccessible environments, it's still very much connected to that broader world of science and exploration.
Absolutely. It's a field that's constantly pushing those boundaries of our knowledge and understanding of the Earth.
And Walls is it's playing a key role in that process.
It is. Exploring this manual has given me a whole new appreciation for the challenges and rewards of cave surveying.
Me too. It's a field that requires a unique blend of technical expertise,
Yes.
physical endurance, and a genuine thirst for discovery.
And a healthy dose of courage, I'd say.
Absolutely. It takes a special kind of person
Yeah.
to venture into those dark, uncharted spaces.
It does. But the rewards are clearly worth it. The discoveries they make, the knowledge they contribute, it's truly inspiring.
It is. And it's a reminder that there's still so much out there to explore, even in a world that sometimes feels like it's been fully mapped and charted.
That's a great point. There's always more to discover, more to learn, more to understand.
Yeah.
And that's what makes exploration so exciting.
Absolutely. It's about pushing the boundaries of what we know, both physically and intellectually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Walls is helping us do that in a very tangible way.
It is. It's a tool that's empowering a new generation of cave surveyors to make incredible discoveries and share them with the world.
And who knows what they'll find. There could be entire cave systems out there just waiting to be mapped and explored.
Right.
Lost worlds just waiting to be discovered.
That's the beauty of exploration, right?
Yes.
It's full of possibilities, full of the unknown, and that's what makes it so compelling.
I completely agree. There's something There's something deeply human about that desire to explore,
Yeah.
to venture into the unknown and see what's out there.
It's like a primal urge, isn't it?
It is.
To push beyond the familiar and discover something new.
And cave surveying, in a way, takes us back to our roots.
Yeah.
It's about exploring those dark, hidden spaces,
Right.
the places that have remained untouched by human hands for millennia.
It's like a journey back in time. Back to a time before we mapped and charted the world. Back to a time when everything was unknown.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's a reminder that there's still a sense of wonder and mystery out there, if we're willing to look for it.
And Walls is giving us the tools to do just that.
It is. It's a tool that's opening up new worlds, new possibilities, new ways of understanding our planet.
And it's all thanks to the ingenuity and dedication of the people who created it.
Absolutely. They've given us a gift, a tool that's empowering us to explore the unknown
Yeah.
and push the boundaries of human knowledge.
And that's something to celebrate. So let's raise a glass to Walls and to all those cave surveyors out there who are using it to make incredible discoveries.
Cheers to that.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive into Walls software. But the journey doesn't end here. In part 3, we'll explore some of the ethical considerations that arise when surveying caves, and we'll discuss how Walls can be used to promote responsible exploration. So stay tuned because there's still much more to uncover.
I can't wait. We'll be right back after a short break.
We've talked about so much in this deep dive, data formats, error detection, 3D modeling, even underwater surveying. It's really clear that Walls is an incredibly versatile tool. But as we wrap up, I think it's important to think about something that's not really spelled out in the manual, the ethics of cave surveying.
Yeah, that's a really important point. Cave environments are so fragile, and even the act of surveying them, even with the best intentions, it can have an impact.
Exactly. So while Walls doesn't have like a specific ethics module or anything, its features can definitely be used to encourage responsible exploration.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, think about the ability to create those detailed maps and models that can help surveyors identify sensitive areas within a cave.
Right.
And that lets them plan their traverses in a way that minimizes disturbance.
That's a great point. It's about using the technology not just to document what's there, but to actually inform better decision making and promote those best practices.
Exactly. And that focus on accuracy that's kind of woven throughout the manual,
Yeah.
from the data formats to the error analysis, it really underscores how important it is to collect reliable information. And that's crucial, not just for scientific understanding, but also for making informed decisions about conservation and management.
Right, because if the data is not accurate, then the decisions based on that data could be flawed as well.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the human element.
Mm-hmm.
Walls provides these powerful tools.
Right.
But it's really up to the surveyors to use them responsibly and ethically.
It's about realizing that we have this responsibility to protect these fragile environments, even as we're trying to understand them. And I think that awareness is reflected in the way the manual emphasizes that careful planning, the meticulous data collection, and a deep respect for the cave environment.
I agree. And that respect also extends to the broader caving community and to those who might follow in our footsteps by sharing our data, our insights, and our commitment to responsible exploration. We can help make sure the future generations get to experience the wonder of these underground worlds.
Well said. As we've been exploring this world of cave surveying and the capabilities of Walls, one big theme that keeps coming up for me is this idea of interconnectedness.
Oh, I'm curious. What do you mean by that?
Well, we've seen how Walls connects these different types of data. It bridges that gap between the physical cave and its digital representation. It connects the surveyor's measurements with these sophisticated algorithms, revealing those patterns and insights that you might not otherwise see. It connects the underground world with the surface world, showing us how these seemingly separate realms are actually intertwined. And maybe most importantly, it connects the past, present, and future of exploration, enabling us to build on the work of those who came before us and pave the way for those future discoveries.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's a reminder that exploration isn't just about pushing those boundaries. It's also about about weaving a tapestry of knowledge, connecting those threads of observation, analysis, and interpretation to reveal a richer and more nuanced understanding of our world.
Exactly. And so for you, our listener, I hope this deep dive into walls has has left you with a sense of awe and wonder at the complexity and beauty of these underground realms, a deeper appreciation for the dedication and ingenuity of those who explore them, and maybe even maybe even a spark of curiosity to learn more, to venture out and explore those hidden wonders that lie beneath our feet. Who knows? Maybe someday you'll be looking at a cave map created with walls, tracing those intricate lines and imagining yourself venturing into those unexplored depths.
That would be incredible. And if you do find yourself exploring a cave, remember to do it responsibly, with respect for the environment and a deep appreciation for the privilege of witnessing those hidden wonders.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into Walls software. It's been a fascinating journey, and we hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening, everyone.